Hello everyone and welcome to Fifth North. I am Demir and I know, for the last 4 or 5 videos I've brought up a lot of gear, a lot of equipment, and I've continued to say I will not go into depth as reviews are coming later. Well, guess what? It is finally later. Today I will be reviewing a lens and going in depth, so here we go. Actually, in fact, today we're going to be reviewing a really cool lens. It's the Sony FE 12-24mm F2.8 G Master. And you might ask yourself, well, this lens has been out for about 6 months now. Why are you just now reviewing it? Well, a couple of reasons. One, as of the making of this video, I am not sponsored by any camera manufacturers, not Sony, not Canon, or anybody else, or by any camera shops. And so what does that mean? Well, one, if you want to sponsor me, go ahead, right? A little shameless plug there. But two, that means that I have to buy all my own gear. Now, a lot of reviewers on YouTube, they'll get their gear for free in exchange for a review. Not a lot, but a select amount. And they'll typically get gear ahead of time. That way they can review it and then talk about it when it first comes out. So for me, it's a little bit different. I have to buy my own gear. This lens costs $3,000, so as I'm sure you can imagine, it takes a little bit of time to save up for it and purchase. And then two, I gotta have time to actually use it. I don't feel confident or comfortable. I was gonna say the two together. I don't feel comfortable giving you guys my opinion on a $3,000 lens if I've only used it for 24 hours, which some people do, and I'm not with that. So I've had this lens now for about 3.5 months. I've shot over 1,000 photos with it. Now I feel confident and comfortable. Again, confident, comfortable in letting you guys know my opinion on this very, very expensive piece of glass. So with that being said, today I'm going to cover my thoughts on it, what comes in the box. I'm going to cover just kind of my opinion with photos that I've taken, some of the specs, all that good stuff. And let me grab the box here and we can kind of dive in. So I've done the unboxing already, personally, not as a video. So I'm not really gonna, I'll put this in the frame here. Beautiful little Sony box, FE 12-24mm 2.8 GM, all the good stuff. I love these photos too. They're like super, like they're there, but they're not there. They're like super dark. I like that. Anyway, again, I've done the unboxing already for myself, but what I will show you today is if I open said box, what comes in the box. This lens is going to be a lot like all the other G Master lenses, where it comes with, let me get it out here, a Sony pouch. This is a carrying pouch for the lens itself. It comes with a strap for said pouch, and then it comes with documentation and all that good stuff. Now, this one's different from other G Master lenses for 2 reasons. One is it comes with a template for cutting filters. Now, you might ask yourself what that means. Well, all the other Sony lenses that I own, all the other G Masters, have a flat front, which means that they can take filters that thread on, your regular filters that we've all seen and used, UVs, VNDs, polarizers, whatever. This lens has a rounded or curved front glass, so therefore you can't fit them. And the filters actually are going to be gel-based or film-based that go on the back between the lens and the camera sensor. So you get this little, I don't know if you guys can even see that on the video, kind of. You get this little thing that you can use as a template to cut it out to install in the filter holder on the back side. So that's kind of what that's for, what makes it a little bit different. And with that being said, because this lens has a curved, I should probably stop shushing with this and not talking so you guys could actually hear me and not the shushing. Because this lens has a curved front end, it's not going to be able to take all the same filters, like I said, and it doesn't have the same lens hood as other lenses do. So for this one, the lens hood is actually built in, so you don't get a lens hood with it. It's actually a part of it, because all the other G Masters, you get the case and the lens hood. This one is kind of built in. But speaking of the case, pretty cool. It's nicely padded. Good place to keep your lens. Totally a waste for me because I have a really nice camera bag that I keep all my lenses in, so I never actually use these, but it's cool that they give you one, I guess. Anyway, let's look at some of the specs. So I'll grab the actual lens here. This is the actual lens, and I'll try to so you guys can see it. There's the shiny G Master logo. You guys can see it's a very fat and wide lens. Like I mentioned previously, I've got my Fifth North custom lens caps on there. It says 12-24 F2.8, makes it very easy to identify. Not that you can really confuse this lens with how big it is. Again, lens cap, what I like about the lens cap is it's actually all encompassing. It's not just a cap, it's kind of like an over cover. I'll kind of pull it off so you can see it covers the whole thing. And it kind of has to, because again, it's a curved, and I want to bring that way to you guys so you guys can see it. You see how it's curved. It's not a flat lens. So again, makes it impossible to put the flat stuff on there because of that. And then again, the lens hood's actually built in, which is very cool because it's going to protect the lens from impact and whatnot. The actual element also moves. So if you look at the glass, you can see it, and it goes in, comes out. So a little bit different than other lenses that I've owned, which is kind of cool. Typically on the lenses, the actual glass stays in place and the actual barrel goes in and out. On this one, the barrel doesn't move. It's the actual inside, which is kind of different. Anyway, look at the specs. I'm going to go ahead and put those up on the screen for you. Looking at my notes here, you've got, again, 12-24mm range. It is a f2.8, which is great. It gives you really good low light performance, all the way up to f22. The angle of view is going to be 84 degrees up to 122. It has a 11-inch minimum focus distance and a whole lot of stuff on the inside. 17 elements in 4 different groups, or maybe it's 14 different groups. I can't read my own handwriting. 9 rounded diaphragm blades, and it doesn't have image stabilization, but obviously at this focal length, at this wide focal length, you don't need it. Actual size, we're talking about 3.84 inches in diameter and 5.39 inches in length, so not huge, but pretty darn wide. Outside of that, weight is 1.86 pounds, aka 847 grams if you're of the, well, everybody in the world but us variety. Don't get me started on the metric system and how I don't get why we don't use it. It is dust and moisture sealed, which is great, especially out here in the P&W, and it has lots of different coatings and a lot of different fine element features. I'm not going to go through all of them because, quite frankly, I don't care. It's a lot of tech specs and that kind of stuff. If you're into that, I'm sure there's other reviewers out there who are going to geek out and hit all those points. For me, I just care more about how it performs. So a lot of cool features, a lot of coatings that help reduce flare and all that kind of stuff, but again, I'm going to talk more about how it works rather than the actual details of that. With that being said, though, I'm very happy with the lens for a couple of things. One, the distortion is very, very minimal. I've actually had only a few photos where I could actually notice the distortion. What I mean by that, if you've ever used a wide-angle lens or if you've seen fisheye lenses, it does the whole kind of bend of the photo, which can be a really cool effect if that's what you want, but not if you don't want it. And so at 12 millimeters, at 14 millimeters, a lot of lenses get that distortion. I'm happy to say this lens, I've shot at 12 quite a bit, and I've barely ever seen it, if I've seen it at all. Also, the vignetting is also very common on wide angle lenses, and this one, again, very minimal. In some cases it does have it, but I feel like it's always added to the photo rather than being a problem, so I haven't really had any complaints. But overall, very minimal. Both vignetting and distortion, so I'm very happy with that. The other thing I like about this lens is, like all G Master lenses, it does have a button on it. So this is the focus button, or the hold focus button. It's got a couple of different names. What's cool about it, like a lot of things on the Sony systems, you can customize it to do a lot of different things. For me personally, I've used it multiple ways. Once I used it as a IAF, so I can turn on IAF or autofocus right on the lens instead of having to go through the menus. I've also used it as a back button focus, except now it's lens button focus, I guess. But really cool to have it on there and have it be customizable. Also, you have the switch for autofocus, manual focus, obviously. And then you've got the 2 rings, one for focus if you're manual, and then one obviously for focal length. So that's kind of the lens itself. Really just cannot say enough good things about it. I mean, you would hope, right? At $3,000, you would hope that it's good, and I will say it is. You know, color quality has been fantastic. Autofocus speed has been fantastic. Bokeh has been fantastic. Just everything about it I've been really happy with. About the $3K price, is it worth $3K? That's a tough question to answer. I mean, $3,000. That's a really good camera body, right? That's a really expensive lens. If you're smart, if you look around, you can get some deals, right? So for me personally, being a student, Sony was running a 20% off student discount. So right off the bat, that drops it to $2,400. I also bought it when I bought my other lenses and my body. Sony had a mail-in rebate. So in all things combined, I got a pretty sweet deal on it. I'll say it was below $2K once you added all the discounts, which is pretty insane if you ask me. So is it worth the price that I paid? Without a doubt. Without a doubt. Is it worth $3,000? If you have the money, yes. If your budget's super tight, I mean the Sigma 14mm is a pretty darn good lens too. About half the price, right? So you kind of have to think about that and what's worth the money to you. For me personally, when I first set out and switched to Sony, and if you guys haven't seen that video, you guys can check it out here, talking about how I left Canon after 17 years to go to Sony. I told myself I wanted to do nothing but Sony G Master lenses. And if I do venture outside of that, it'll still be Sony, because I have had both positive and negative experiences with third-party lenses. And this go around, I just kind of wanted to stick with the collection. So I definitely wanted the Sony G Master version, so that's why the 12-24 is what happened. All right, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pop up some photos on the screen that I took with this lens. And not only did I take them with this lens, but they were all taken at that full 12mm mark. I do have my notes in front of me, so if you see me looking down, that's why I don't have like a teleprompter or anything, so, you know, looking down for a second. So first photo I'm gonna pop up here. And some of these photos are actually in my 4-minute photo series. If you want more details on the photos, you guys can definitely check them out and take a look. I'll link a couple of them up so you guys can see them. But the first photo here is called Angry Tree, and this photo would not have been possible if it wasn't for this lens. Being at the base of a tree like this, to be able to look up at it and get that entire view, and you guys can see how long this tree is, there's branches, there's all that, you know, it's a full frame, no pun intended, photo. And the 12mm really allowed me to get that angle and get as much tree as I did. So that was really cool, because I actually tried this shot initially when I walked up to it. And again, if you reference to that video I was talking about, you can see more details on it. But when I first walked up, I actually had it at 24mm, and I couldn't get the shot. And then I was like, oh wait, I'm on my 12-24. I zoomed it out, and I got the shot. So again, the 12mm made that possible, so that was pretty exciting. Big fan of just the field of view you can get with this lens. I'm gonna pop up a second photo here called Galaxy Falls. This photo was one of my favorites, honestly, and maybe I'll save it for a future 4-minute photo. But long story short, also shot at 12mm. Again, I could not have gotten this shot without that much width, and this waterfall is pretty tall too, so being able to stand where I stood and get the level of detail while getting both the ground and the sky and stars above was pretty cool. So again, 12mm, really useful if you're shooting things that you need a very wide field of view. And again, as you look at this photo, look at the details in the rocks, look at the color rendering, I don't know, it's a hard word. Looking at the rocks, so you can see the detail and the color quality. Again, just a superb lens. I'm a really big fan of. Popping up another, here's the exact same waterfall set as the previous photo, just during the day. Again, you can see the colors, you can see the details, the focus is really good. And again, very little, if any, distortion at all, so really happy with that. Next up, we've got the haystacks are on fire. I did another 4-minute photo on this one as well. Check it out. Again, I wanted to show off just how vast this beach is, and at 12mm, I could do that. If you look at the photo's composition, I wanted the haystacks, I wanted the sun, I wanted all of the beach. And again, you can't do that unless you're very wide, which this camera did at 12. Again, you can see the details in the sand. You can actually see all the footprints and all the marks while still getting the focus of the entire shot. So again, just a beautiful photo. Well, beautiful photo, I like it, thank you. Beautiful lens though, and it just does a great job. So again, very happy with it. I just can't say enough good things. And the last one I'm gonna pop up here is from Horsetail Falls out here in Oregon. And again, as you can see, it allowed me to get the entire waterfall plus the surrounding nature that I wanted to get. And again, just not possible with any one of my other lenses, the 24mm not being wide enough and the 70mm definitely not being wide enough. So having that 12 is really cool. And I just love the fact that it's 12 to 24 for the width, but the F2.8 for low light performance. It's just a fantastic lens. So I think Sony knocked it out of the park with this one. Again, I love it. I highly recommend it. Should you spend $3,000 on it? If you don't have to, don't. But if you have to and you have the money, I think it's worth it, and I think you'll be happy with it. I personally think this lens is a member of the Holy Trinity. I think, and I mentioned this in a couple other videos, especially my what's in my camera bag video. Again, another link for you guys. A lot of the companies make a trinity of 15 or 16 to 35 or 40 or something to that range, and then a 24 to 70. And for me, it just doesn't make sense. Like, I'm only gaining 6, 7, or 8 millimeters between my two lenses. If my 24 to 70 covers everything that I need and the 16 only gives me up to 24 of uncharted territory, I just don't want to buy that lens for 8 millimeters. Now, I know that 4 millimeters more is not that much more, but it's still more. So when Sony released the 12 to 24, I automatically scratched the thought of buying a 16 to 35 because, again, it's halfway already duplicated of my 24 to 70. So when Sony launched 12 to 24, I was like, this is brilliant. Now I've got 12 all the way to 200, just straight up with no overlap, which to me is ideal. So in my opinion, this is the new Holy Trinity lens that I think all Sony users should consider instead of the 16 to 35. Unless you already own the 16 to 35, then kind of redundant in most cases. But if you want that extra 4 millimeters, which I use a lot and I really highly recommend, then this lens is worth it. So one more time, fantastic lens. I love it. I recommend it. Maybe rent it first. It is $3,000, so if you're not fully committed to just buying it, maybe rent it and give it a try. But I think once you do, especially on a high megapixel camera like the A7R4, this thing is, I'll give it a little proper, right? It is a fantastic lens. So that is my opinion on that. Hope you guys enjoyed that review. There'll be definitely more reviews in the future when I review the rest of my gear and kind of break it down piece by piece. As always, thank you for watching this video. Hopefully I'll see you next time, and peace.